Hello, and welcome to our magical world. Welcome to Rainy Tales from Hogwarts. Tonight, we're traveling to a place where candles never truly go out, where ancient stone walls whisper forgotten memories, and where rain gently taps against tall, enchanted windows. Every time December arrives, there's a certain feeling in the air, a quiet mystery, a soft melancholy, as if the world itself is slowing down, inviting us to pause, to breathe, and to listen. At Hogwarts, December rain is different. It carries secrets. It echoes through long corridors, wraps the castle in mist, and turns even the bravest hearts a little more reflective. So if you're ready, find a comfortable position. Let your shoulders relax, slow down your breathing, and allow yourself to drift into this magical story with me. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Just listen and let the rain guide you. It was a quiet evening at Hogwarts. The sky above the castle was heavy with clouds, and a steady December rain fell endlessly, washing over the towers, the bridges, and the ancient stone walls. Inside the castle, the sound of rain echoed softly, as if Hogwarts itself was breathing. Most students had already retreated to their common rooms, curled up near warm fireplaces, their voices low, their laughter distant. The corridors were nearly empty. Torches flickered gently along the walls, casting long moving shadows across portraits that pretended to sleep, though some of them quietly watched, listening to the rain just as closely as you were. Far above the grounds, in a tall tower window overlooking the Black Lake, a single light still glowed. Behind that window, someone sat in silence, wrapped in a thick robe, watching the rain slide slowly down the glass. Each drop moved at its own pace, as if time itself had softened. The great lake below was dark and calm, its surface broken only by ripples from the falling rain, reflecting the castle lights like scattered stars. And in moments like this, Hogwarts felt alive in a different way. Not loud, not dramatic, but old, wise, and gently awake. As the rain continued to fall, the castle prepared to share one of its quieter stories, a tale not of battles or prophecies, but of forgotten halls, midnight walks, and the comforting magic of simply being present. And so, as the rain wrapped Hogwarts in its soft rhythm, the story slowly began. The rain never stopped. It didn't rush. It didn't demand attention. It simply existed. Soft footsteps echoed somewhere deep within the castle, slow and unhurried, as if whoever was walking had nowhere else they needed to be. The long corridors of Hogwarts stretched endlessly, their stone floors cool and smooth, reflecting the warm glow of floating candles above. Each candle drifted gently, swaying ever so slightly, responding to unseen currents of magic in the air. The rain outside pressed against the windows, creating delicate patterns, long trails of water slowly meeting, separating, and disappearing. Every sound felt distant, muted, safe. Somewhere nearby, a clock ticked quietly, its rhythm steady and comforting. Tick, tock, tick, tock. In moments like these, time at Hogwarts seemed to forget itself. The castle wasn't in a hurry, and neither were you. One particular corridor lay completely empty. No rushing students, no whispered spells, only the soft hum of the castle and the rain beyond the walls. Portraits lined the corridor, their frames old and ornate, gold edges dulled by centuries of watching. Most of the painted figures had closed their eyes, resting, dreaming in their own quiet way. A few stirred gently, adjusting their positions before drifting back into stillness. The air smelled faintly of old books, warm stone, and rain. Not far from this corridor, the Hogwarts library rested in near darkness. Tall shelves stood like ancient guardians, filled with thousands of books, each holding stories that had waited patiently for centuries. Only a few lamps remained lit, casting small pools of golden light onto polished wooden tables. The rain tapped gently against the tall arched windows, a soft, steady rhythm perfect for thinking, or not thinking at all. Some books lay open, their pages slightly curled, as if someone had been reading before deciding to rest. Dust particles floated lazily through the air, visible only when passing through the lamplight. Nothing moved, and yet everything felt alive. Inside, Hogwarts listened. The castle had seen many winters, many Decembers just like this one. It remembered laughter echoing through halls, footsteps running late for class, and quiet nights where only the rain kept watch. And tonight was one of those quiet nights. A night meant for slowing down, for letting thoughts drift, for allowing the mind to gently rest. So if your thoughts begin to wander, that's perfectly fine. Let them float, like candlelight in the corridor, like rain sliding down the glass. There is no destination, only the journey. And the rain will stay with us. The rain continued to fall, soft and patient, as if it had all the time in the world. Somewhere deep within Hogwarts, a fireplace crackled quietly, not loudly, not suddenly, just enough to remind the castle that warmth was nearby. Inside one of the common rooms, the fire glowed a gentle amber, its light dancing slowly across stone walls and comfortable chairs. Thick curtains were drawn across the windows, but you could still hear the rain beyond them, a distant, soothing presence. A few armchairs sat empty, blankets folded neatly over their backs, waiting patiently. The air was warm, smelling faintly of wood smoke and old parchment. Time moved differently here. The fire crackled, paused, then crackled again. Each sound was soft enough to blend perfectly with the rain. On a small table nearby, a half-empty mug had been forgotten, its surface still warm, a thin curl of steam rising slowly into the air. Nothing needed attention. Nothing demanded movement. This was a place meant for rest. Outside, the rain deepened. Drops met stone, stone met water, and together they created a rhythm, older than the castle itself. The sound traveled through the walls, through the floors, through every quiet corner of Hogwarts. It wrapped the castle gently, like a protective spell. You could almost imagine the rain, speaking in a language only the castle understood. A language of patience, of waiting, of calm. Elsewhere, the moving staircases shifted slowly. Not with urgency, not with surprise, just a gentle turn, a soft click, and then stillness again. Their wooden steps creaked quietly, as if stretching after a long day. Paintings near the staircases barely stirred, watching the rain through tall windows, their expressions peaceful. Even the staircases seemed tired. And content. Far below the castle, the Black Lake lay calm and dark. Rain touched its surface gently, creating endless ripples that spread and faded. Each ripple met another, then disappeared, leaving the water smooth once more. The lake reflected the castle lights, long golden streaks trembling slightly with each raindrop. Somewhere beneath the surface, the lake kept its secrets, resting quietly, undisturbed. The rain never asked the lake to change. It simply arrived and passed, high above everything else. The astronomy tower stood wrapped in mist. Rain slid slowly along the stone railings, collecting in small pools before falling away. The air was cool here, fresh and clean. From this height, the castle felt like a living thing, breathing, listening, resting. The sky was heavy with clouds, stars hidden for the night, and that was all right. Not every night needed stars. Some nights were meant for rain. As the rain continued its gentle rhythm, the castle grew quieter, thoughts softened, breathing slowed. If your mind begins to wander now, let it. If your eyes feel heavy, that's perfectly natural. The rain will keep watch. The castle will remain. There is nothing to miss, nothing to remember. Only this moment, soft, slow, and safe. And as Hogwarts rested beneath the December rain, the story flowed on, carried gently by the sound of falling water. The rain fell steadily over Hogwarts, soft and unending, as if the sky had decided to stay just a little longer. Drops slid down the tall windows in slow, uneven paths, meeting and separating again, tracing quiet stories on the glass. Inside the castle, the air felt warm and still, wrapped in the comforting weight of stone walls that had stood through centuries of nights just like this one. Footsteps were rare now. The castle had settled. The kind of settling that comes only when everyone has finally gone to rest. The kind where even the walls seem to exhale. A distant fireplace crackled somewhere far away, its sound softened by layers of corridors and doors. The rhythm of the rain blended with it perfectly, neither sound overpowering the other. Just balance, just calm. Candles floated gently through the corridors, their flames steady, barely flickering. Their light stretched across the stone floors, reflecting faintly, then fading into shadow. Portraits rested quietly in their frames, eyes closed, expressions peaceful, as if they too were listening to the rain and allowing themselves to drift. The castle felt old in the most comforting way, wise, patient, unbothered by time. Somewhere near a tall window overlooking the grounds, a chair sat empty, angled just enough to face the rain. The glass was cool, the stone beneath warm from the day's lingering heat. Outside, the grounds were dark and quiet, the grass heavy with water, the paths shining faintly under the dim glow of lanterns. The Black Lake rested beyond the edge of the grounds, its surface disturbed only by the gentle touch of falling rain. Each drop created a ripple that spread slowly, then disappeared, leaving the water smooth once more. Reflections of the castle lights trembled on the lake's surface, long and golden, stretching and shrinking with every movement of the water. Nothing rushed, nothing demanded attention. Inside, the common rooms were silent, save for the soft breathing of those already asleep. Fires burned low, glowing rather than blazing, their warmth filling the rooms without effort. Blankets lay folded and ready, chairs curved and welcoming, as if they knew they would be needed again soon. Books rested on tables, left open where reading had faded into sleep. Pages curled slightly at the edges, holding their place patiently. Dust drifted slowly through the air, visible only when it passed through the gentle glow of lamplight. The rain continued, steady and reassuring, tapping against windows, sliding along stone, whispering softly to the castle. It had no destination, no urgency. It simply existed. High above, near the astronomy tower, mist gathered around the stone, wrapping the castle's highest points in quiet mystery. The sky was heavy with clouds, stars hidden from view, and yet the night felt complete. Not every night needed light. Some nights were meant to be dark, meant to be soft, meant to be slow. The castle listened. It always did. It remembered countless nights like this one, winters where rain replaced snow, evenings where silence felt like a gift, moments where magic didn't sparkle or flash, but simply rested, deep within the stone and wood and air. Breathing felt easier here, slower, deeper. Thoughts, once sharp and busy, began to soften. They drifted, like candlelight reflected on wet stone, like ripples on the lake, coming and going without needing to be followed. If a thought stayed, it stayed gently. If it left without asking. The rain would continue either way. Time lost its edges. Minutes blurred into one another, smooth and unbroken. The castle didn't measure the night in hours, but in moments of stillness, in the steady rhythm of rain, in the quiet comfort of simply being. And as Hogwarts rested beneath the December rain, wrapped in stone and magic and memory, the night carried on slowly, peacefully, endlessly, letting the world drift, letting the rain fall, letting sleep arrive exactly when it was ready. The rain showed no sign of stopping. It softened the edges of the night, smoothing every sharp thought, every lingering worry. The sound of it moved through the castle like a lullaby the stones had learned by heart. Somewhere deep within Hogwarts, a door closed quietly, not slammed, not hurried, just a gentle click, followed by silence once more. The kind of silence that feels full rather than empty. Along the corridors, the air was calm and cool. The stone walls held the day's warmth, releasing it slowly, patiently. Each step, if there were any at all, would have echoed softly and then disappeared, absorbed by the castle's quiet mood. Windows lined the hallways, tall and narrow, each one a frame for the rain outside. Water traced slow paths downward, pausing briefly before continuing, as if deciding which way to go. Some drops raced ahead, others lingered, but all eventually found their way down. The grounds below were barely visible now, wrapped in darkness and mist. Trees stood still, their branches heavy with water. Pathways shimmered faintly, reflecting lantern light in long, blurred shapes that trembled gently with each falling drop. Inside, the great hall rested in near darkness. The long tables were empty, their surfaces clean and smooth, reflecting the soft glow of candles that floated high above. The ceiling mirrored the cloudy sky outside, dark and heavy, moving slowly, almost imperceptibly. The space felt vast yet comforting, a place that held laughter and noise during the day, now content to be quiet. The hall didn't miss the voices. It welcomed the rest. The rain tapped against the tall windows here too, its rhythm slightly deeper, echoing faintly through the open space. It sounded like a heartbeat, steady, calm, reliable. Far from the hall, staircases rested between movements. Wooden steps creaked softly now and then, settling into place. Paintings nearby shifted slightly in their frames, adjusting blankets, closing eyes, returning to sleep. Even the castle's magic seemed quieter tonight, gentler, as if it too were winding down. Breathing felt slow and natural, each inhale smooth, each exhale unforced. The kind of breathing that happens when the body feels safe enough to let go. The black leg continued to accept the rain without protest. Ripples formed, spread, and vanished, over and over again, never growing tired. Beneath the surface, the water remained dark and undisturbed, holding its secrets calmly, patiently. Above it all, the tower stood steady against the night. Rain slid along stone edges, dripping softly from ledges, falling back into the darkness below. Mist curled around the higher walls, blurring lines, softening shapes, making everything feel dreamlike. Time no longer mattered here. The castle did not count minutes or hours. It simply existed in this moment, allowing the night to unfold at its own pace. If thoughts drifted now, they drifted gently, like clouds moving slowly across a hidden sky. There was no need to hold on to them, no need to follow where they went. The rain would continue, the castle would remain, and the night would keep unfolding quietly, patiently, endlessly. The rain went on, steady and untroubled, as if it had forgotten the meaning of stopping. It wrapped the castle in a soft, endless sound, smoothing every corner, every thought, every remaining trace of the day. Deep within Hogwarts, the walls listened. They always did. Stone remembered everything, but tonight it chose only to remember calm. The quiet footsteps of centuries past, the hush of late nights, the gentle rhythm of students finally asleep. All of it rested together in the stillness. A draft moved slowly through a corridor, barely noticeable, carrying with it the faint scent of rain and old parchment. Curtains stirred just slightly, then settled again. Candles remained steady, their flames long and relaxed, casting light that felt warm rather than bright. Somewhere, far off, the soft turning of a page echoed once, then stopped. The book had been closed, not with intention, but with drowsiness. Silence returned immediately, as though it had never left. The castle breathed in and breathed out. Outside, rain collected along the edges of rooftops, forming droplets that waited patiently before letting go. Each one fell softly, disappearing into the dark below without sound. The towers stood tall and unmoving, their outlines softened by mist, their presence reassuring and familiar. The night felt deep now, not heavy, just full. In a quiet corner near a window, the glass felt cool, the stone beneath solid and grounding. Rain traced slow, winding paths downward, repeating the same gentle motion again and again. Watching it felt effortless. No beginning, no end, just movement. The great hall remained still, its vast space holding nothing but echoes of rain and memory. Candlelight reflected faintly off polished surfaces, then faded into shadow. The enchanted ceiling drifted slowly, clouds thick and dark, moving without urgency. Nothing needed to happen. The moving staircases rested between destinations, content to be exactly where they were. Wood creaked softly, then went quiet again. Paintings slept deeply now, dreams hidden behind closed eyes, faces relaxed, frames unmoving. Down by the black lake, the rain continued its quiet conversation with the water. Ripples formed, overlapped, dissolved, over and over. Always the same, always different. The surface shimmered gently, then smoothed, then shimmered again. Above, the astronomy tower disappeared into mist, its highest stones wrapped in cloud and rain. The air there was cool and clean, filled with the scent of wet stone and night. No stars watched tonight. The sky was content to rest behind clouds. Breathing slowed naturally. Shoulders softened. The space between thoughts grew wider. If sleep hovered nearby, it did so gently, without pressure. There was no need to invite it. It would arrive when ready, carried on the rhythm of rain and the quiet comfort of the castle. Hogwarts remained awake in its own way, listening, holding, protecting. A silent guardian wrapped in stone and magic, allowing the night to stretch on, slow and unbroken. And the rain kept falling, soft, endless, patient. The rain settled into an even deeper rhythm, as if it had found the perfect pace and decided to keep it forever. Not too loud, not too soft, just enough to be there, gently filling every space the silence left behind. Within the castle, nothing stirred, and yet nothing felt empty. The stone floors held the faint warmth of the day, releasing it slowly into the cool night air. Walls stood, steady and calm, their surfaces smoothed by time, their presence grounding and familiar. Every corridor felt like a place meant to wander slowly, without purpose, without destination. Windows continued to glow faintly from candlelight inside, their glass cool to the touch, their surfaces alive with moving rain. Each droplet followed its own path, sometimes meeting another, sometimes slipping past, always continuing downward. Watching them felt timeless, almost hypnotic, as if the motion itself carried rest. Somewhere far below, water flowed quietly through hidden channels, carrying rain away from the castle, guiding it back into the earth. The sound was distant and low, barely noticeable, blending seamlessly with the rain above. Inside the common rooms, fires burned low and steady. Embers glowed softly, pulsing with warmth, then settling again. Chairs remained empty but welcoming, shaped by years of quiet conversations and peaceful evenings. Blankets rested exactly where they were left, heavy and comforting, waiting without expectation. The castle had learned patience long ago. It knew how to wait through storms, how to hold warmth through cold nights, how to remain still while the world rested. Breathing felt slow and natural now, rising and falling without effort. Each breath seemed to last a little longer than the one before. The space between thoughts widened further, stretching gently, comfortably. If a memory drifted through the mind, it did so softly, without sharp edges. It passed like a shadow on the wall, noticed briefly, then gone. Nothing needed to be held. Nothing needed to be solved. The rain continued to fall on the black lake, each drop disappearing into dark water, each ripple fading into calm. The lake accepted it all without resistance, without change. Above it, the castle lights shimmered faintly, trembling slightly, then smoothing out again. High on the towers, mist thickened, curling slowly around stone edges, blurring lines, softening shapes. The castle seemed to dissolve gently into the night, becoming part of the rain, part of the sky, part of the quiet. Time felt distant now, almost unreal. Minutes no longer stacked themselves one after another. They spread out instead, wide and slow, leaving room for rest to settle fully. Hogwarts remained steady and calm, wrapped in rain and shadow and memory. The night stretched on, unhurried and kind, carrying everything gently forward, and the rain still falling, still patient, still soft. The rain did not change its mind. It stayed, falling in the same gentle way, as if it understood exactly what the night needed. Inside Hogwarts, the quiet grew warmer, thicker, more complete. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel like absence, but like being held. Stone and wood and magic rested together, each part of the castle perfectly aware of the others, each content to remain still. Somewhere along a long, curved corridor, a single torch flickered softly. Its flame leaned slightly, then straightened again, responding to a passing current of air that was barely there. Light moved across the wall, stretching, shrinking, and settling into place. Shadows followed slowly, unhurried, as if they too were tired. The floor beneath felt solid and dependable. It had carried thousands of footsteps, hurried and slow, joyful and anxious, but tonight it carried none. Tonight it simply existed, smooth and cool and calm. Outside the windows, rain continued to trace its familiar paths. Drop after drop, line after line. Some trails faded quickly, others lingered, catching the light before dissolving into nothing. Watching them felt soothing, like listening to a story without words. The castle grounds were still. Trees stood quietly, their leaves heavy with water, branches unmoving. Lanterns glowed dimly along winding paths, their light reflected in wet stone and puddles that shimmered faintly before growing still again. In the distance, the forest remained dark and silent, wrapped in rain and mist. It listened too, just like the castle, just like the lake, just like the night itself. Breathing slowed even more now, each breath gentle, deep, and effortless. The body seemed to remember how to rest on its own, without instruction, without effort. Thoughts became softer, fewer. They drifted in and out like the mist around the towers, never settling long enough to matter. There was nothing to hold on to, and nothing needed to be let go. The great hall remained quiet, its vast space filled only with echoes of rain and memory. Candlelight hovered above, steady and calm, reflecting faintly on long wooden tables before fading into shadow. The enchanted ceiling moved slowly, clouds drifting without purpose or direction. High above, rain slid along the stone of the astronomy tower, collecting briefly before falling away. The air there was cool and clean, filled with the scent of wet stone and night. The sky stayed hidden behind thick clouds, stars resting out of sight. And that was enough. Not every night needed clarity. Not every sky needed stars. Some nights were meant only for rain and rest and quiet moments that asked for nothing in return. Hogwarts remained steady and protective, wrapped in centuries of calm. It held the night gently, allowing it to stretch and soften, allowing everything within its walls to drift toward sleep. The rain continued to fall over Hogwarts, settling into the night as naturally as darkness itself. It pressed gently against the castle walls, sliding along stone and glass, never rushing, never fading. Inside, the castle felt wrapped in a deep, steady calm, the kind that only appears when nothing is expected and nothing is required. The corridors stretched quietly through the castle, their curves softened by shadow and candlelight. The stone beneath felt cool and solid, reassuring in its permanence. Every surface carried the memory of countless nights like this one, nights where the world slowed and the castle listened rather than spoke. Windows along the halls reflected dim lights from within, their glass alive with moving rain. Droplets followed winding paths downward, sometimes meeting, sometimes drifting apart, always continuing without pause. Watching them felt effortless, as if time itself had loosened its grip. Somewhere nearby, a fireplace burned low, its warmth spreading slowly through the surrounding rooms. The sound of the fire was subtle, barely noticeable beneath the rain, yet it added a quiet depth to the night. Chairs sat empty, angled toward the glow, shaped by years of quiet conversations and silent evenings. A blanket lay folded over one arm, heavy and undisturbed. The great hall rested in stillness, vast and calm. Long tables reflected faint candlelight, and the enchanted ceiling mirrored the heavy clouds outside, drifting slowly across a dark sky. The space felt neither empty nor lonely, but complete, as if it was exactly as it should be. Beyond the castle walls, the grounds glistened under the rain. Paths reflected lantern light in soft, blurred shapes, puddles forming and settling without sound. Trees stood quietly, branches weighed down by water, unmoving in the night air. Farther still, the Black Lake accepted the rain without resistance, its surface rippling gently before returning to calm. High above, the towers rose into mist, their outlines softened until stone and cloud seemed to blend together. The air there was cool and clean, carrying the scent of wet stone and night. The sky remained hidden behind thick clouds, and the absence of stars felt comforting rather than empty. Inside the castle, time lost its sharp edges. Moments stretched gently, flowing into one another without distinction. Breathing slowed naturally, shoulders softened, and thoughts drifted without urgency. Nothing needed to be remembered. Nothing needed to be planned. Hogwarts remained steady and watchful, holding the quiet with the same patience it had learned over centuries. It had seen countless storms, countless nights of rain, and it knew how to let them pass without disturbance. And so the night continued, calm and unbroken, the rain moving endlessly over stone and water, while the castle rested, allowing everything within its walls to sink slowly and peacefully into sleep. As the night deepened, Hogwarts seemed to settle even further into itself. The castle no longer felt like a place that waited for morning. It felt like a place that belonged entirely to the night. Rain traced familiar routes along the outer walls, following grooves shaped by decades of storms, slipping quietly toward the ground below. Inside, the temperature remained steady and comfortable. Stone held warmth gently, releasing it slowly into the air. Corridors curved and branched in soft shadow, each one leading somewhere familiar, though no one felt the need to follow them. The absence of movement felt natural, as if the castle itself had decided to rest. In the library, rows of tall shelves stood quietly, their spines dark and orderly. Books rested exactly where they had been left, pages marking themselves without effort. Lamps cast small circles of light onto long wooden tables, illuminating the grain of the wood and the fine layer of dust that time allowed to settle. The rain outside pressed softly against the tall windows, its presence steady and reassuring. Further along, common rooms remained undisturbed. Fires burned low, their glow warm rather than bright, filling the space without demanding attention. Chairs and sofas curved comfortably around the hearth, their surfaces shaped by years of use. The air smelled faintly of wood smoke and old fabric, a familiar and grounding scent. Somewhere deep within the castle, pipes carried water quietly through stone, guiding the rain away without sound. Floors remained dry and smooth, their cool surfaces reflecting faint light before fading into shadow. The castle functioned without effort. Every detail settled into its place. Beyond the windows, the grounds remained dark and glistening. Paths reflected lantern light softly, and puddles formed shallow mirrors that trembled gently with each new drop of rain. The forest beyond stood still, its presence calm and distant, wrapped in mist and darkness. The Black Lake continued to receive the rain in gentle patterns, its surface rippling briefly before smoothing again. Light from the castle stretched across the water, broken and reformed by movement, then returning to long, steady reflections. Beneath the surface, the water remained undisturbed, cool, and silent. Higher still, the towers rose into cloud and mist. Stone edges softened as rain slid along them, collecting, briefly before falling away. The air carried the scent of wet stone and night, fresh and clean. The sky remained hidden, but the absence of stars felt natural, as if they had simply stepped aside for the rain. Inside, time moved without shape. Minutes did not pass. They drifted. Breathing slowed, deepened, and settled into an easy rhythm. Muscles relaxed without instruction, and the mind grew quieter, thoughts appearing less often and staying only briefly. Hogwarts remained steady, ancient, and patient. It had learned long ago how to hold silence without emptiness, how to let nights unfold without interruption. It stood quietly as rain continued its gentle work, smoothing edges, calming surfaces, and guiding everything toward rest. The night carried on without urgency, wrapped in rain and stone and quiet warmth, allowing the castle and everything within it to sink deeper into stillness, where sleep could arrive naturally without being asked. The castle remained unchanged as the night moved forward, not because time had stopped, but because nothing needed to move. Rain continued to follow the same gentle paths it always had, slipping over stone and glass, collecting briefly before falling away. The sound of it blended perfectly with the quiet hum of the castle, a background presence that felt as constant as breathing. Inside, the corridors felt longer in the darkness, not in distance, but in mood. Shadows softened every corner, smoothing angles and edges. The stone walls absorbed sound easily, allowing even the smallest noises to fade before they could travel far. The air felt calm and balanced, neither cool nor warm, simply comfortable. In rooms scattered throughout the castle, small details rested unnoticed. A quill lay where it had been set down earlier, ink dried on its tip. A stack of parchment sat neatly arranged on a desk, its edges aligned, its surface undisturbed. A chair remained pulled slightly away from a table, left exactly where someone had last used it, waiting patiently. The library remained one of the quietest places of all. Shelves rose high into shadow, their contents unchanged, their presence steady. The lamps there did not flicker. They glowed softly, illuminating dust motes that drifted lazily through the air. Outside, rain traced slow patterns on the glass, turning the windows into moving reflections of light and dark. Elsewhere, staircases rested between shifts. Wood settled into place, and railings cooled beneath the touch of rain carried in through open air. Paintings slept deeply now, no longer stirring, their frames still and silent against the walls. Beyond the castle walls, the grounds glistened under the rain. Stone paths reflected lantern light faintly, their surfaces slick but calm. Puddles formed and settled, their edges smooth, their reflections blurred. Trees remained quiet, branches weighed down by water, leaves barely moving. The lake accepted each raindrop without change. Ripples appeared and faded, repeating the same gentle pattern over and over again. The reflection of the castle lights stretched across the water, breaking and reforming with every movement, then settling once more. High above, mist continued to wrap the towers, blurring the boundary between stone and sky. The air there remained cool and fresh, carrying the scent of rain and night. Clouds drifted slowly overhead, heavy and unbroken, allowing the world below to remain dim and restful. Inside the castle, awareness softened. Thoughts slowed, then thinned, and appeared only occasionally, drifting in without urgency and leaving just as quietly. Breathing remained steady and unforced, each breath blending seamlessly with the stillness around it. Hogwarts stood as it always had, ancient and unhurried, allowing the night to unfold at its own pace. Rain continued to move gently across stone and water, and the castle held its quiet without effort, guiding everything within its walls toward deeper rest. As the night stretched on, Hogwarts felt fully settled to its quiet rhythm. Nothing shifted anymore, not because it couldn't, but because there was no reason to. The rain continued outside, familiar and steady, but even its sound seemed to soften as the hours passed. Inside the castle, warmth lingered gently in the stone. Corridors remained still, their shadows deep and calm, holding no expectation of movement. Every room felt complete as it was, needing no change, no attention. The lights inside the windows glowed faintly now, some dimmer than before, others gone entirely. The castle did not mind. It knew how to exist in darkness just as well as in light. It had done so for centuries. Beyond the walls, the grounds rested under the rain. Paths reflected only the faintest hints of lantern light. Puddles lay smooth and undisturbed. The lake remained dark and quiet, its surface calming after each gentle ripple. High above, the towers stood quietly in the mist. Stone blended into cloud, edges softened until everything felt distant and dreamlike. The sky remained hidden, and the night felt complete without needing to reveal anything more. Inside, breathing stayed slow and natural. The space between thoughts widened until thoughts barely appeared at all. There was no need to follow them, no need to hold on to anything. The castle held the quiet, and the quiet held everything else. Time passed without being noticed. The rain continued without effort. Hogwarts remained steady and patient, allowing the night to fade naturally into rest. And as everything settled into stillness, the story itself grew quieter, gently loosening its shape, leaving only the calm of the night, the comfort of the castle, and the soft, familiar presence of rain